Are you looking to add a little something something to your next PTO, parent teacher organization, or PTA, parent teacher association meeting, and you're interested in perhaps inviting a speaker, but you're fresh out of ideas? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. If we haven't yet met, I'm Christina Heidick. I'm a PTO and family engagement expert, and I have run my fair share of meetings along the way. I've been involved with my children's PTOs in their various schools for the past 15 years or so. And so I have a lot of good ideas for you. So let's get into it. So the very first opportunity you have to get speakers is to look within the walls of your school. So what department chairs could come and talk to the group about curriculum, about different programs, about things that they think parents should know about, but maybe parents don't regularly get the opportunity to hear that is going on. So in the past, we've had teachers come and talk about the curriculum path for like the science department. The department chair came and explained what courses you could take, especially as an upperclassman, what different options there were. And if you were like super into science, and maybe if you weren't so into science, but you needed the science credits to graduate, like what different options there were. And so as a parent, I think I was a 10th grade parent at the time the teacher came to talk, it was super helpful because I knew what was coming up next. So they can talk about curriculum options, projects that are going on, goals. Maybe they have an idea for a project that they need funding for, and they kind of want to soft launch it to the PTO, to your group, to see if you have the funding to help them make it happen. Certainly that's a good opportunity for you to get to know the teacher, get to know the motivations behind everything. And when you know what's going on in the school, you'll know more about the school, which will make you a more effective advocate for the school. So I think that can be really helpful as a parent teacher organization volunteer. Another person to kind of leverage for coming into your group as a speaker is, does your district have, or your school have, a social worker that could come and talk about some of the current needs that are going on and generalize? So they're not going to be talking about anybody specific and giving up any kind of confidential information or things that wouldn't be appropriate to share with other people, but just generalized information to raise awareness and educate about needs. And this is so important because your PTO, I'm sure, is not doing things just to be doing them. Like, you want to be doing things that are going to be benefiting the school community and helping the students, helping the teachers, helping the principals. Like, that's why you are doing this. And so if you don't understand the full needs, if you're not even aware of them, then you can't address the needs, right? So that's why that can be super helpful. If you have a teacher liaison, you could just ask them to talk about something that they are interested in talking about. Our teacher liaison, she's been coming for the last 4 years, and the same one, her next year is her last year. She's going to be retiring. But in the last couple of years, she's just brought up just different things that she thought we should know about. One, she has kids in a different district because she lives in a neighboring community, but she talked to us all about fresh advice about college application essays, like what she had gone to a program at her school for her kids and thought it was so interesting and wanted to share it with us. She's also the NHS advisor. And so she was talking to us about, they run a blood drive a couple times a year. And she was a little concerned because I guess they test for iron levels before the kids can give blood, I guess, to make sure that they are healthy enough to be giving blood. And she said that a lot of kids were not meeting the minimum threshold. And so that was maybe something we could work as a group to increase awareness about nutrition and diet with the kids, to make sure that they were eating enough. And that's a topic that's really important. And I don't know that that would have come up in any other setting. So that's why it's so valuable to have your teacher liaison coming to every meeting, or having a teacher come to every meeting, because they are just going to be aware of different things that are going on in the building that you won't have the opportunity to know about. So the next idea for speakers at your PTO meeting or your PTA meeting is anything that is related to parent education. Like, what do parents need to know? What would make them better parents, aware of different information? We had one year a speaker come in and talk about vaping, and it was like back kind of when it was, I want to say, all the rage, which of course I know it was kind of all the rage at one point, but it seems to have tampered down again. We've had more legislation and regulation about that. So that's a good thing. But the speaker came in, I think she was affiliated with one of the local hospitals, and just gave us a 15-minute little talk about what vaping was, what the little vape pens looked like, how damaging it was. And it was just really bite-sized information that was very condensed, concise, and very effective at getting the message through, and then gave us contact information if we had follow-up questions, and left literature too. So super helpful. So you could think about, like, what other topics do the parents need to talk about, or need to learn about rather. So it could be for the FAFSA prep, like the free application for financial student aid when kids are juniors, that you could have this a speaker from a local college, maybe a FAFSA officer, someone who deals with the student loans, so they're going to be most educated about the process and be able to speak and answer questions. You could bring them in. In the last couple of years, my PTO has brought in someone from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They talked about anxiety, and that was super, super helpful. And we also had a couple who came in and talked about sextortion. Their son had been victimized and actually took his own life, and it was a very powerful story. I'm sure there are other topics like that that would be very interesting to parents. If you're not sure what topics that they want to hear about, I would just start by asking them. The reason that we had chosen both anxiety and sextortion for those speaking programs was that was what was requested by the parents. We just asked in a meeting, and those are the topics that came up. And so we had contacts. So we had a contact at NAMI. And so it was very helpful to make those programs happen. All right. The last kind of category of speakers that you could bring in is someone to deal with student education. So what do the students need help with? Maybe conflict resolution skills, study habits, managing anxiety, identifying depression, anything that they kind of need help with. I think you could do even like someone who comes in and does a bike safety clinic. That's not exactly, it's closer to a program than a speaker, but it could still benefit the PTO members and their families with having that opportunity to address that issue, right? So the whole idea is that you don't want to necessarily make a separate program, but just kind of supplement your PTO meetings by having the speaker come in for about 15, 20 minutes. It's best to choose a meeting that you don't have a ton of business, because of course that'll just extend the whole meeting, and your overall goal should still be to have a meeting in about an hour or less. If you have a speaker, maybe an hour and 15, so that you're still getting through all the things that you need to get through. But then just it adds so much to the purpose of the meeting. So it's not just conducting business. It's not just going through the motions, but you could really be attracting new faces and new volunteers who come in because they hear about this speaker and they're like, oh, I've noticed my child is a little anxious and I really want to get more information on that. Maybe they don't have time. Maybe they haven't thought about it, like kind of doing it on their own. But when you present that opportunity for them to learn, they come because they're interested. That could be the initial hook to get them more involved in the PTO and really involved in this whole school community. So I hope that's given you a whole bunch of ideas, because you could take any of these suggestions and really run with them, tweak them to make them fit your school, your needs as they exist right now. And I think it is really going to help you and maybe give you a reason to market your PTO meetings. Give a reason for parents to come other than just the PTO itself. Like, give that extra little nudge, because some parents need that. And so it's only going to help you in the end, and y'all can get educated and learn more in the process. And that is not a bad thing in and of itself either. So I hope this has been so helpful for you and that you join me for my next video.